I'm Tina Curry, and I'm the Chief Deputy Director here at the Governor's Office of Emergency Services. You know, here in California, we've been reminded this year just what it is to be at risk to disasters and emergencies. Of course, we've had COVID-19 here in the state and elsewhere, and a record-setting historic wildfire season that continues as we speak. But it's also an important reminder that earthquakes are a risk here in California. And today we're here to talk about that. Today is the date of the annual Shakeout earthquake drill. This is a tradition that began here in California back in 2008. And today, since then, it is now not only nationwide, but a worldwide earthquake preparedness event. We are joined here today at Cal OES with leaders in seismic safety, earthquake safety, and emergency preparedness to join me in talking to you about the importance of being prepared for earthquakes. We're going to give brief remarks this morning, and then at 10:15, we're going to take a pause here in the room, and we're going to ask all of you to do the same out there, and that is to practice drop, cover, and hold on at 10:15. Drop, cover, and hold on is just a simple thing that you can do, but an important thing that you need to be able to do automatically once you feel the ground shaking, and it will help to keep you, your family members, and your communities safe. Earthquakes can happen at any time in our state. We've had them even very recently in Southern California. And while they have not been always as devastating as some of them historically, we know that earthquakes can happen at any time. The annual Shakeout drill was something that we started here as a way to remind Californians to practice, to always be ready for those earthquakes that can come at any time. It doesn't have to be a catastrophe for you, your family, and your community. It is something that we can be prepared for and something that we can be safe. And by practicing today, you are going to make a difference in having a more positive outcome if and when an earthquake occurs. The Shakeout is also an opportunity to learn about tools and resources that are available to you for earthquake safety and earthquake preparedness. And we're excited. About a year ago, on the anniversary of the Loma Prieta earthquake, we launched the first in the nation statewide earthquake early warning application called MyShake. And that is one of the tools that is in place now for you today to get alerts about earthquakes. And since it was launched a year ago, over 100,000 alerts have gone out already to Californians based on real events. The app can provide potentially seconds of warning ahead of an earthquake, and those seconds can mean a lot when it comes to having time to drop, cover, and hold on. You can learn more about the MyShake app by visiting our website, earthquake.ca.gov. There you will be able to download the app as well as learn about earthquake preparedness. And so now I would like to introduce a leader in emergency preparedness, and we are so grateful to have her here, Assemblymember Luz Rivas, and she will be providing a few comments. Thank you.
Thank you, Tina, for the introduction, and Cal OES for having me here today. My name is Luz Rivas. I represent the 39th Assembly District, which includes the San Fernando Valley of Los Angeles. As chair of the Joint Legislative Committee on Emergency Management, it's vital that we prioritize our state's emergency preparedness and response. And that's why I'm here today. As you may already know, the San Andreas Fault runs throughout our entire state, which means our state is prone to earthquakes, and earthquake preparedness is vital to living in California. Many of us that grew up here in California remember practicing earthquake drills in elementary school. I do. I remember elementary, middle, and high school being prepared and always thinking about how that translates to home and bringing that home with me as a child. On average, our state experiences about 10,000 earthquakes each year, so 10,000. I know that in my district, we felt 2 medium-sized earthquakes recently. With earthquakes being an inevitable part of California, it's part of California's future to prepare for the big one. And we have all been hearing about that. Many of us experienced a big earthquake in Northridge in the San Fernando Valley in 1994. My family remembers that, and many of my constituents still remember that, and it encouraged us to even be more prepared for the next one. We must act quickly to ensure that disasters do not become catastrophes. An integral part of acting quickly is to be prepared. As the chair that oversees our state's emergency management, I believe in investing and maintaining emergency alert infrastructure to keep all Californians safe from a disaster. If you haven't downloaded the MyShake app, I encourage you to do it today. It will provide you alerts on when they're shaking and give you an advantage of making sure that you know to be prepared for the upcoming earthquake. In addition, our state has created a one-stop shop for earthquake education and resources at earthquake.ca.gov. So go to that website, and I encourage everyone to develop their own emergency kit, prepare all members of your family for an earthquake so it's not a surprise. And we know that our state is prone to earthquakes, but if we're prepared for it, we'll be ready for the next one. Thank you again for having me here today. And I look forward to the 10:15 earthquake drill. Thank you.
Thank you, Assemblymember Rivas. Certainly, your constituents in your district are familiar with earthquake risk, and we're just grateful for your leadership and your partnership in this effort, not just in Southern California, but throughout the state. As we all are at risk to multiple disasters and emergencies, including earthquakes, wherever we live, visit, and travel in California. Again, just a reminder, the MyShake app is free. You can get information on how to download it by visiting earthquake.ca.gov. There are other platforms for earthquake alerts. We hope to see this grow so that everyone can see it on multiple different types of applications through their cell phones and potentially even other technologies in the future. So it's very exciting. One of the tools in the toolbox, and certainly something to added to our suite of ways that we can be best prepared. So we are getting close to 10:15, so we're going to take a break from this press conference and ask all Californians who are watching and listening to drop, cover, and hold on at 10:15, and we'll see you in a few minutes.
Earthquake. Drop, cover, hold on. Shaking expected. Earthquake. Drop, cover, hold on. Shaking expected. Earthquake. Drop, cover, hold on. Shaking expected. Earthquake. Drop, cover, hold on. Shaking expected.
All right. Well, hopefully everyone participated in their drill. As you can see, it's something that you can do very quickly, and it's easy to remember and very important if you do feel shaking. Hopefully many of you have or will be downloading the app, so you have one more way of hearing about earthquakes when they occur, so you can take protective measures. Continuing on with our speakers, I am pleased to introduce next our California's state geologist, Mr. Steve Bolen, to provide a few remarks. Steve?
Good morning. I'm Steve Bolen, and I'm the state geologist, and I lead the California Geological Survey, which is in the Department of Conservation. Department of Conservation and the CGS are really responsible for providing information, scientific data, and understanding to policymakers and counties and towns so that they understand the consequences of earthquakes and other natural disasters. The Department of Conservation has a natural hazards theme that encompasses a wide range of natural disasters that occur in the state. So you've just had an example of what happens.
This is the California State Warning Center with a non-emergency message. Today is the Great Shakeout Day in California.
So you now know how to keep yourself safe during an event. There's a lot of information that comes your way during an event and after an event. And the CGS is part of that. When you hear an earthquake magnitude, the CGS, seismic networks, are integral to that. The Shake alert is supplied with information from the CGS. But really, in terms of how you manage a natural disaster, be it an earthquake, a wildfire, or the post-wildfire landslides and debris flows, depends on what you do before the event happens. Do you have a plan with your family on how you're going to communicate? Do you have a meeting spot? Are you thinking about where you might go should the structure that you live in be damaged so that it's not safe to be in? Do you have water? Do you have medical supplies? Do you have money? The power might be down for several days, so you should have an envelope that you keep in a secure place with cash in it. So how you ride out the storm, if you will, depends on things that you do before you drop cover and hold on. We provide you with all kinds of information that allow you to both understand what's happening and then can forecast what's likely to happen. As you may know, if you've experienced a major earthquake, there's what's called an aftershock, what scientists call an aftershock sequence. We work closely with our partners, the U.S. Geological Survey and others, so that to provide you with the best scientific information as to what you can expect. But you can only hear that information if you have a battery-powered radio so that you can get information if there's no power at your house. So yes, drop cover and hold on, but remember, you need to prepare before that, and you need to have a plan for after that. Because California is a beautiful state. The reason it's a beautiful state is it's geologically active all over the place. Earthquakes, wildfires, landslides, tsunamis. These are things that we at the Department of Conservation and the California Geological Survey understand and help policymakers understand what they need to do to keep all of you safe. But your safety and your comfort during and after a major event is really up to you, and how you plan for it and how you prepare for it and how you work with your family. Think about those who might need extra care so that you're ready. Because it might not be an earthquake. It might be a wildfire. It might be a landslide. It might be a tsunami. The great thing about living in California, it's beautiful. It's beautiful because it's geologically active in all and different ways. So it's also my great pleasure to introduce Dick McCarthy. Dick is the Executive Director of the Seismic Safety Commission. We work closely with Dick and the Commission, again, to make sure that everybody is ready for earthquake events.
Thank you very much, Steve. Well, first, let me say the Seismic Safety Commission is very honored to now be part of the Governor's Office of Emergency Services. It's going to make the products that we do much more effective and get them out much quicker. Sometimes we're asked about how the state's doing in its progress in earthquake risk reduction. And I always use 1989 Loma Prieta earthquake as a kind of the base mark to say how we've done. And quite frankly, it's been an amazing road. We've done a lot to reduce the risk to our population. The pandemic, that's been a real challenge for us. Obviously, we've all gone virtual. But I want you to know that the people here at Cal OES have all continued this vigilance in trying to reduce the earthquake risk to the public. During this pandemic, we've experienced fires, evacuations, run on supplies, power outages, and the obvious economic downturn of this pandemic. If you add to that structural damage to our built environment, that's what we can expect from the next large urban earthquake. For those of us that monitor the seismic health of the state every day, it's almost like the earthquake is saying to us, don't forget about me because I'm still here. And it's true, that risk is here to us every day. And everybody you see in this large facility, is dedicated to monitoring the earthquake risk to the public and reducing your risk. So in closing, let me just say that we also, Cal OES just has a new publication out, a revised publication. It's the Homeowner's Guide to Earthquake Safety. It's a good read. It will tell you what you need to do to protect your house, or if you're renting, same in a rental or an apartment unit. And it goes a long way, a lot of information in one document. You can access that document by going to ssc.ca.gov. So thank you very much. It's a very honor for us to be here. I'd like to introduce Tina Curry again. Tina.
Thank you so much to our speakers and again to all of you for joining us. We took a pause with all of you to practice drop, cover, and hold on. And as you heard, we had a second interruption where we here in the building, even at Cal OES, so important for us and for our staff to practice earthquake safety. So we had another drop, cover, and hold on drill. So can't have too much practice in this area, and certainly very important to us. With that concludes our presentations, but we'd be happy to take a few questions from the media.
Hi, I'm Karma Dickerson with Fox 40. I'll be acting as the pool reporter for this. So a couple of questions. How is this playing out? I know the idea is to have as many participants in the drill as possible, but with so many students not in classrooms, how do you imagine this played out over the course of the morning?
Thank you for the question. The question was about how the Shakeout is working with this year. Obviously, things are different for us. We have stay-home orders. We have schools on distance learning. And so we worked really hard with all of our partners in earthquake preparedness, those that plan the Shakeout drill, to give people options, to give our educators options for how to encourage and practice drop, cover, and hold on from wherever you are. That's the thing, is we don't know where we're going to be in an earthquake. We could be in a building, we could be at a grocery store, we could be at home. It's a technique that can be used anywhere you are, and it is important to practice drop, cover, and hold on more so than ever this year as we think about earthquake safety and are facing a lot of other challenges with disasters and emergencies, look forward to hearing the results of this year's drill and expect to hear some successful stories about how it was practiced.
To that same idea, with more people spending most of their day at home or using home as a workplace, what resources are there to help people make those home offices, get them up to maybe some of the same safety standards that they might see at their normal offices, and make sure that they're compliant and still safe?
Yeah, that's a great question. One of the bigger hazards in earthquake that maybe is lesser known is what we call non-structural hazards. Things can fall off the walls if you have, pictures or, small furniture, and it, may not seem like a big deal, but things that aren't typically heavy, but those are often the things that cause the greatest injuries. So very important if you have a home office or a work at home environment to look around you, secure those things that can be secured, or maybe move them to a different location. But drop, cover, and hold on is a protective measure for that as well. It is a technique that you get under a sturdy table or a desk to, again, protect yourself mostly from those objects that could fall when shaking occurs. So really important. You can find more about those kinds of things, non-structural hazards, at our earthquake.ca.gov, as well as the Cal OES website.
Also, we had Assembly Member Rivas talk about the big one. And I think if you grew up in California, you lived here for any amount of time, you've been hearing about that. But now it's decades since the last real major earthquake that truly scared people, the Northridge earthquake. How do you combat complacency? It's when is the big one coming, and how do you keep that sense of urgency in people's minds?
Yeah, thank you for that. That's really what Shakeout drill was born from, was that idea that how do we kind of keep this on top of mind? We know historically earthquakes are unpredictable, but often the bigger ones are, have a long distance or a long time in between them. On the one hand, that's good. Obviously, we don't want to have these devastating earthquakes happen more frequently. However, it can lead to, forgetting about what we need to do to be prepared. So the Shakeout drill was really thought of as a technique to have a simple way, doesn't take a lot of time. It really is something that anyone can do. And also keep that reminder about earthquake preparedness, not just the drill itself, drop, cover, and hold on, but all the things that you think about related to earthquake earthquake preparedness that you will be reminded to think about in practicing the very short drop, cover, and hold on drill on Shakeout Day.
And lastly, you made a reference to structural damage is what we can expect from whenever the next big one is. Can you expand on that?
Structural damage, I'll just say a little bit, but maybe I can invite one of our other partners to talk about where California is. But certainly here in California, with recognition of earthquake risk, we have building codes and measures in place. Not more stringent than many other places because of that earthquake risk. So that is one factor. Also, we have many different types of what we call mitigation techniques that can be undertaken. We have programs for that from the homeowner level, very simple things that can be done to make your home stronger from structural damage all the way to our roads and bridges and freeway systems. But if my colleague from, would either of you want to comment a little bit on structural?
Sure.
Go ahead.
So really, the safety from earthquakes and structural damage really starts with understanding ground shaking, and that's a scientific issue that's taken up by the California Geological Survey, the U.S. Geological Survey, the Seismic Safety Commission, and the scientific information is fed into the seismic safety provisions of the Uniform Building Code. And so those in California are rigorously applied and we have strict codes that improve the performance of buildings through a heavy shaking. Now, it is true that every earthquake we learn something. The engineers are not capable of predicting exactly how everything is going to behave in a building. The good news there is that with high-performance computing, these very high-quality, high-end computers are allowing us now to start to model seismic shaking in buildings at frequencies that are important for how they perform during earthquakes. So there is a large body of science behind improving the seismic safety provisions of the Uniform Building Codes. And it takes time, and unfortunately it takes natural examples for nature to expose the deficiencies in our built systems. But I can assure you that a building built today is way safer than, for example, buildings in 1973 or whatever. We're coming up on the 50th anniversary of the San Fernando quake or the 1994 Northridge quake. We have safer buildings. We understand more about how the ground shakes and then how buildings respond. And that's a very difficult engineering and scientific challenge, but we are actively working on that, and it's a very important part of seismic safety. Having buildings survive earthquakes, at least to save lives, and really where we're headed is to have buildings that are survive the earthquake and can get back into operation very quickly so that the economic vitality of the area can be maintained.
And I'll finish with, how does the pandemic and and also the wildfires affect the ability to predict these earthquakes, to respond to them, have our infrastructure be able to withstand them?
So I would say that in terms of all of the monitoring that goes on, the earthquake monitoring, the scientific work behind all of that, that is continuing apace. Most of us are working from our home offices. Those who have to be out in the field are out in the field. So we conduct our work in accord with health safety protocols around COVID-19. But I think it's fair to say that there is no reduction in our preparedness and the work that goes on to keep Californians safe as far as earthquake safety goes.
Okay. But in terms of resources or ability, has COVID pulled any resources from there, or even the wildfires, just having so many things happen at once? Right. How does that affect the big picture?
I am not the best person to answer that question, and so I'll turn that back to Tina.
Thank you very much for that question. And I think it's fitting that we're here in the State Operations Center, a backdrop that you're familiar with as the governor and other leaders have spoken to the people of California about COVID-19, about wildfires. We do run all of those things from here for the state of California. We are constantly looking at ways and really having to leverage our collective resources for the entire state family, what we call our mutual aid system, which involves all the levels of local government, and being ready for whatever it is that's before us. So we have wildfires throughout the state, constantly moving resources, COVID, working with our health partners. All of these things affect Californians. All of these things affect our critical infrastructure and our key services. And that is our job here at the State Operations Center, to coordinate that, to make sure that we are, constantly reassessing and prioritizing how we respond and reaching out to even other areas across the nation and even from other countries to help when help is needed, because the reality is that California often and can have multiple events happen at the same time. Okay. Well, I just want to thank all of our speakers for being here today. Thank you for the questions, and of course, thanks to all of you for taking the time to tune in and to practice earthquake safety. Don't get caught off guard is a theme for our awareness campaign for earthquake safety. Download the MyShake app, visit earthquake.ca.gov for more information, and stay safe. Thank you.